Sheltered housing is designed to offer older people a safe environment with varying levels of support. But the BBC has learned of tens of thousands of reported cases of abuse and neglect in that type of accommodation over the last 3 years.
Yeah, some fear the actual extent of the abuse could be even greater. Sheltered housing does not undergo the same inspections and ratings as care homes. And this has led to questions over how well residents are protected. Well, Breakfast's Jane McCubbin has been looking at this for us.
Which is very sad.
Andrea last saw her mum on New Year's Eve. 3 months later, she received a phone call from police saying she'd been found dead in her council-run sheltered accommodation.
We don't know if she lay there, whether it was an instant, incident, whether it was a heart attack, or did she lie there, in pain. We just don't know.
Andrea's mum suffered from depression and she often withdrew from family and friends. Her daughter hoped she would be safe in sheltered housing. Staff would keep an eye out. But the local authority told us that Hazel liked her privacy and had requested they did not contact her.
You're moving in there because you think there's a warden, you think that there's 24/7 support if you fall or you're not feeling well, that you can pull a cord and gain help and support. There wasn't any care. She really just got accommodation. That's really all she got, was accommodation.
The council told us they have now changed their procedures to make sure every resident gets weekly contact. BBC Radio 4's File on 4 programme has tried to establish the level of risk in sheltered housing. They contacted councils in England, Wales and Scotland and health and social care trusts in Northern Ireland. They were told of almost 31,000 safeguarding incidents in the last 3.5 years. The most common were neglect, physical abuse and financial abuse. Those figures had increased 30% over that time.
Are you surprised?
No, frankly, I'm not surprised by the figures. I strongly suspect that they are an underestimate. There are some sectors within adult social care that are less regulated or unregulated. We have to look at the adequacy of the regulatory and inspection oversight.
Not only is there no independent inspection regime in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, there's no legal requirement for professionals to actually report neglect or financial abuse. In Scotland, there are more wide-ranging powers. But the government in Westminster tell us that abuse and neglect is unacceptable. They say they've changed the law so local authorities must ensure their services are safe, and they will look again at reforming social care in the summer. But there is still a gap between the perception of sheltered accommodation and the reality for some. Jane McCubbin, BBC News.
Well, Rachael Nicholson-Wright from the charity Action on Elder Abuse joins us now for a bit more discussion on this point. We heard from the professor there. I was watching you sort of nodding along there, talking about the issue and how big a problem he sees it as. Is that something which tallies with your own experience?
Absolutely, and I think, unfortunately, this is the tip of the iceberg. The figures that came from the investigation were only from a small percentage of the councils, so we don't have the full picture. And from what we know, is that elder abuse is underreported for a wide range of reasons. But yes, this is concerning, but unfortunately, it's not the full picture.
One of the points that's come out is about inspections. So, do you agree that that type of accommodation should have an inspection scheme?
Absolutely. Everything else, nursing homes, care homes, places where vulnerable older people go to live, are under inspections for good reason. Sheltered housing doesn't come under social care, it comes under housing, so it doesn't have anything like the inspections that we would expect. And you have more and more older people, vulnerable people going into sheltered housing, and nobody is checking that where they go is safe for them and that they are having the life they deserve to have.
So what are the other solutions to this then? Obviously, this is something which you care passionately about and want to see sorted.
Absolutely. There's lots of things to do, but we know that at the moment we are failing older people. When they go into sheltered housing, as I said, they're not being inspected. We need standard inspection across the country, across the United Kingdom, so that when we know that our grandparents, our parents, us, in a few years are in these homes, that we are safe and that we're well.
Should we just talk a little bit about the sort of reporting on it? of it, and people feeling unable to do that. What sort of impact does that have on people? Are people afraid to report what might be going on?
Absolutely. When we speak to, we have a helpline for people reporting abuse and people concerned about abuse. And what we hear all the time is from older people themselves saying, I don't want to be bothered for a start. I don't want to bother the police. If it's from family members, the abuse is happening, or trusted care workers, they don't want to get someone in trouble. They want the abuse to stop, but they don't want someone to be criminalised. Even though what we're talking about are offences, we're talking about theft, we're talking about serious assaults, but older people don't want to report it. And obviously, sometimes they're reliant on their carer and their care worker.
So what's your advice this morning to somebody who might be watching this and thinking, OK, I think I know somebody, someone in my family might be going through this. What should they do? What's the process?
Well, we have a helpline that will help anyone who's concerned about abuse, whether that's in care homes, at home or in hospitals. But it's about reporting. We need to encourage reporting and to help an older person, whether you're a family member or a friend even, to help that older person have the strength to go forward to report anything that's happening to them so that it can stop. Because unless we know about the abuse, we can't stop it.
OK, Rachel, thank you very much. A government spokesperson told us that abuse and neglect is unacceptable and has no place in the social care system. That's why we changed the law, so local authorities must ensure that the services they commission are safe, effective and high quality. We also are committed, it goes on to say, to reforming social care, and will publish a green paper in the summer.
There's more on that story on tonight's File on 4. That's at 8 o'clock on BBC Radio 4.